Hey, we know this guy, right? Cool. This is Hometown, or Dima. This is a Torn Heart. This is the tire from Heavy Dirty Soul. This is the chain from Ride. This is the tree from Trees. This is the treehouse from Forest. This is, well shit, might as well be a jumpsuit. This is the mountain range. These are the birds. This is the trench. These are the black and tans. Under the floorboards you see pipes leaking out some of the colors in the foreground. Just like under an actual Tower of Silence, there would be filters to filter out the toxins from the organic matter before it went out to sea. Incidentally, the same thing that's used in a gas mask. Up here we have the Tower of Silence itself. At the very top, a broken fan, because we're broken people, and a busted light, because their hometown's in the dark. And this thing in the middle, well, do I have your attention? Check it out. I don't know what I'm doing, but we got a lot to cover, so just stick with me, okay? Alright, so this is Josh's Twitter icon, with the vibrance and the saturation both turned up 100. It looks a little bit different. Pay close attention to those colors. We're gonna come back to them. So remember at the Grammys when Jenna was yellow and Josh was yellow, and we were like, oh my gosh, that's probably significant. And like it was. It's not so much that symbolism and foreshadowing are something they do, so much as those things are what they do. They're not trying to tell a story, they're never not telling it. And the medium in which that story is told is a pretty broad landscape. You have social media, so Twitter, Instagram, I guess probably Facebook, official interviews, music videos, behind the scenes things, down to the clothes that they wear. Like, all of them? It's a lot. I acknowledge that. But like I said, stick with me. And man, I know I have a lisp, so spare me. Alright, so let's look at the color yellow. And we're going to revisit the concept of conveyance a lot. Conveyance just really means communication, and that doesn't always need words. So we don't see yellow right off the bat in the video for Guns for Hands, but it's actually central to the whole thing. Literally. So Josh is standing in front of his drum set, and if we had a slightly higher camera angle on the drum set, we would see that there's a yellow drum behind that blue snare. Now we can tell that the drums are translucent. You can see there's another one back there, but you can't tell that it's yellow. That's important for later. So this is every camera angle on Josh through the first half of the video. Notice how we close in on the drum set, we see the yellow drum pull back out. And then we get a series of angles where you can't see it, pointedly. Then rinse, repeat. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. When your attention falls on this yellow drum, you can't help but be aware whether or not it's in your field of vision, which is the point. So during the second half of this video, instead of showing just Tyler or just Josh, the camera pulls out and shows both. But even when it's just Tyler's coverage, that yellow drum, or absence of it, will start to be central to the frame. The idea is to draw your eye, and even though you can tell the other drum is there, you'll especially notice that you can't see any yellow through the blue. Now, I want to back things up to this title card screen, but not yet, because there's more information here. But what about that blue and yellow? Why can't we see it? What's the thing that's being conveyed? So remember a little bit before the first single dropped, they posted this GIF on the DMA website, and the file name was They Can't See FCE300. And FCE300 is a hex code for yellow. In fact, it's the yellowest yellow that you can yellow. And how do you cancel out a color? It's opposite. Blue. Seem familiar? Yep. Now let's go back to conveyance for a sec. So visually, or in other ways, they're showing us these things on purpose. Remember this cheetah gif from the Dima website, and it spelled out, "You still don't know my name." We didn't know who Nico was. Except we do. We actually knew the answer long before we knew there was a question.
What's my name? What's your name?
You've said it 100 times. If you've gone to a show, he's asked and you said it back. That's conveyance. But wait, am I sure? Like, am I sure I'm sure? Yeah. Because we've seen plenty of examples of what Blurryface looks like, right? He's in music videos, he was a cover of the last album, And before we learned the symbolic meaning of the Blurryface makeup in April 2015, before Blurryface came out, we watched that concept played out on screen since at least 2012. So we have a pretty good grip on what Blurryface looks like, right? And we also know passively that every music video that they put out is like color filtered. So take that, and the thing with Josh's icon that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that it's significantly different if you turn up the saturation and the vibrance. So let's see what happens when we apply that here. Look at this. This motherfucker has red eyes. It scared the heck out of me at 3 a.m. Anyway, he's also got a blue face covering, which is why he can't see yellow. Because he's looking at it through blue. He sees green, right? And the whole background's green. I was going to do this thing where I like simulated that for you. My computer can't do that sexy ninja shit. So just picture it. Green is hard to see when all the things are green. Let's move on. So this relationship between blue and yellow shows up other places in the narrative. And because we're talking about colors as plot devices, it makes sense to just use clips with the saturation and vibrance turned up so you can see what I'm talking about. I recognize that this content is probably meant to be consumed as it's handed to us, but I'm a simple creature and I need to take what is a suggestion and make it into a billboard to really kind of understand it. Pause. So while you're watching this video, this is like minutes for you, this is weeks for me. You know what I just fucking realized? We are meant to see this. Meant to reach in and grab that color. What's lighter when it's lower and higher when it's heavy? Saturation. Boom. Alright, now back to the original video. So, parallels. You'll notice that Dima is obviously overwhelmingly kind of ambiently blue. Now I don't think I need to like 8th grade English hold your hand through the symbolism here. We see passive people, we see the blue light, we see the blue veil on the bishop. It's bad shit. It's a haze, it's a fog, it's a smoke screen, it's a filter. It takes on a variety of forms. So we're going to see this exact thing played out in Heavy Dirty Soul. And because it's just so good, we should just go through the whole thing. And I don't have any illusions of having some special understanding of this. I just like it so much. Oh my gosh, okay, let's go. So just like any aspect of reality, the closer you look, the sooner it falls apart. So we got Tyler coming around the bend and we can see that it's sunrise. And I think everybody knows that Heavy Dirty Soul is a loop. Because it starts and ends with fire, sunrise, sunset, because it represents a struggle that's cyclical in nature, blah blah blah, you know this. But the first couple things we see are, it's dawn, but then it's full daylight a couple seconds later. The car is swerving, then it's not. We get the sense that this is not quite real. Well, that and the fact that there's no one driving the car. Except this is 21 Pilots, and their conveyance is like clockwork. So if there's one person in the car, there's one person in the car. Tyler's the driver. But am I sure? Like, am I sure I'm sure? Yeah. What a model does for us, a theory, is not prove but predict. So let's test it. Now, one color we see distinctly here is the red on the black car. And we know that red is associated with Blurryface. Okay. That seems like sufficient symbolism in a passing way. I could go with that. But let's go a little farther. We see this stuff floating around their head that might be ash, but it might be snow. We've seen that before. In fairly local, Blurryface kills Josh of exposure, specifically by snow and cold. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but the armband is red, just like the markings on the car. Another visual parallel is the bishop we think is Blurryface speeding towards Tyler, just like the car, which is currently a vessel of Blurryface, speeds towards Josh. Also probably that cheetah. I didn't figure that out yet though. I'll check that out. Did you see that? When we look in the rear view, we see that Tyler is struggling, but from his perspective, he's fine. That's another one of those kind of subtle indicators that there's more than one reality available here. Actually, let's check with some of those other realities. So you'll notice that these are perfectly in sync. And they should be, because they're just different facets of the same moment, experience, cycle. The point is, we can see in one reality, Josh is playing Josh. In the other, he's playing Blurry. We see that mask with the red eyes. And it's reflective. It's a reflection of Tyler, of both. It's Blurryface. Shit, how am I at 10 minutes? I haven't even started. Okay, takeaway is this. When do you drive all over the road? When you can't see the lines. What's one reason you might not be able to see the lines? If you can't see yellow. So our model works. Welcome to the simulation.